The first thing you feel is the cold. It's a damp, gnawing cold that has seeped through the thin blanket, through your threadbare nightdress, and settled deep into your bones. It's a predator. Your breath puffs out in a white cloud, ghost in the grey pre-dawn light that filters through a grimy pane of glass high on the wall. Your fingers are numb, fists against the ache. You try to move them, to feel them, but they are distant things, clumsy and foreign. A sharp shoots up from the tip of your right forefinger. You bring it closer to your face, squinting in the gloom. A tiny pearl of blood wells up from the skin, dark and vivid against the pale flesh. The memory of a needle, swift and sharp, flashes behind your eyes. A dream. No, not a dream. The work is still there, draped over the single wooden chair in the corner of the room. Gentleman's shirtwaist, fine white linen that seems to glow in the oppressive dimness. Your prison. You push yourself up, tilts. A wave of dizziness washes over you, hot and sickening. The floorboards are bare, rough against the soles of your feet, tiny splinters that press into your skin. There is a taste in your mouth, coppery and foul, hunger that has gone on for too long. You swallow, but there is nothing to swallow, only a thick, sour saliva. The flimsy partition that splits this attic room in two. A cough begins. It is not a simple cough to clear a throat-racking sound, a hollow, wet tearing that seems to pull a man apart from the inside. It goes on and on, a terrible, rhythmic punctuation to the silence, ending in a choked gasp for air. Father. The name echoes in your mind, a single, in the swirling confusion. You are Eleanor Vance. That much you know. You are a seamstress. You live in this garret. Your father is dying. The coughing subsides, replaced by the sound of his shallow, whistling breaths. You have to get up. The shirt must be finished by noon. Mr. Abernathy's man will come for it, are the only thing standing between you and the street. The only thing keeping the slow in the next room at bay for another day, another week. Hope is a currency you can no longer afford. There is only the work, joints cracking in protest. The room is a cell. A sloping roof presses down, stand fully upright except in the very center. A small rust-stained basin sits on a crate, covering the water within. Beside it, a sliver of soap worn to a transparent wafer. There is no fire in the grate. Days, the coal is gone. The smell of the room is a tapestry of misery, stale sickness, the faint scent of unwashed bodies, and the ever-present London damp, a smell like wet wool and decay. You pull your nightdress tighter, a useless gesture against the invasive chill. Your body is a collection of aches, your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, all screaming from the long hours, bent over the linen. Your spine curved into a question mark under the weak light of a tallow candle. Your eyes find the shirt again. The tiny stitches march in neat rows along the collar, 100 stitches to the inch your mother had taught you. Perfection is your only shield, your only value. Any mistake, any blood spot from a pricked finger, and Mr. Abernathy would refuse payment. Values perfection in the things he owns, not in the people who make them. You are not a person to him. You are hands that exist at the end of a long chain of commerce, turning his fine linen into profit. You cross the floor, flinching at the cold. You need to break the ice in the basin. You need to wash your hands, your face, become the machine that soothes. You pick up the small metal pitcher, its handle cold enough to burn, and strike the surface of the ice. It cracks with a sound like breaking bones. You dip your hands into the shockingly cold water. Pain shoots up your arms. The numbness recedes, replaced by a fierce, biting sting. You scrub at your skin. of soap offering no lather, only a faint, clean smell that is immediately lost in the room's miasma. On your face, it is a violent awakening. For a moment, you see stars. You are alive. This is your life. The cold, the fear. They are the drumbeat to which you must march. You dry your hands on the edge of your nightdress and turn to the chair. The shirt with a reverence born of terror. It is nearly done. Only the cuffs remain. You sit automatically folding into the familiar, painful posture of your trade. You pull the small wooden box of threads towards you. A sliver of polished steel lies waiting. You thread it, your fingers clumsy but sure, the motion ingrained by thousands of hours of repetition. You dip the tip of your finger to your tongue, a habit, for grip. But stop. The blood. You cannot risk it. Not now. Thread between your dry fingertips and push it through the eye of the needle. The first stitch is a small victory. Needle slides through the crisp linen with a soft shift. The thread follows. You pull it taut. Another stitch and another. Narrows to this single point of focus. The needle's tip, the fabric, the thread. The city outside begins to stir. Rumble of a cart over cobblestones. The cry of a milkmaid, faint and far away. The mournful toll of a church bell. 5 o'clock. The sun will not rise for hours. Here in the attic, in the heart of London, 1858, you are a ghost, sewing a shroud for a life you once thought you would have. Comes from the slow friction of the thread pulling through the cloth, a pathetic heat generated by your own desperate labor. On your finger has dried into a tiny, dark speck, a period at the end of a sentence you are not yet brave enough to read. You sew on stitch by tiny stitch, each one a prayer, each one a curse. The city is a monster, and it is waking up. You can hear its great, drawing breath. You pull the thread tight, your knuckles white. The stitch is perfect. It has to be. Everything depends on it. Starts again in the other room, louder this time, more desperate. You close your eyes for a second, just 1 second. You see not the shirt, not the garret, but a field of green grass under a blue sky. A memory so sweet it's an agony. You open your eyes. The grey light is unchanged. The coughing continues. You lower your head, your hair falling over your face. Next stitch. Hours pass in this state of suspended animation. The grey light strengthens, revealing the true poverty of your surroundings. The cracks in the plaster crawling like veins across the walls. On the ceiling, shaped like monstrous continents on an unknown map, swells from a distant rumble to a deafening chorus. The clatter of iron shod hooves on stone, the shouts of drivers, street vendors hawking their wares. Worcesters, chiefs to grained, any old rags. The sounds blend into a single, overwhelming roar, the voice of a vast. It is the sound of life, but it feels like a threat. Your neck is a column of solid fire. Your vision blurs. You blink hard. Clear it. The stitches are becoming harder to see, to keep even. You have been sewing since before dawn. Your stomach are tight. There is a piece of bread on the small shelf, half of yesterday's ration. It is stale, hard as a rock. No, you should eat it, but the thought of forcing it down your throat makes you gag. Hunger is a strange beast. After a time, the desire for food itself, leaving only a hollow weakness. Finally, the last stitch on the second cuff is done. Tiny pair of scissors, the blades as dull and gritty. It is finished. You hold the shirt up, unfolding it carefully, immaculate, a work of art born from squalor. The fine linen is unblemished. The seams are flat and invisible, collar points sharp enough to draw blood. A brief cold flicker of pride warms you. You did it. You survived another task. You fold it with an expert's precision, creating sharp creases, turning it into a neat, white square. Now comes the second trial. You stand and stretch, your bones groaning. You must change out of your nightdress. Is hanging from a nail on the wall. It is a dull brown on the wool, patched at the elbows and frayed at the hem. Only dress. You put it on, the rough wool scratching your skin. It hangs loosely on your frame. You have lost weight. Glass to know your cheeks are hollowed, your eyes too large for your face. You are becoming a wraith. Stockings thin and darned in a dozen places, and slide your feet into your boots. The leather is cracked, worn thin. You can feel the shape of every cobblestone through them. You wrap the finished shirt in a piece of clean, though worn, to protect it. You glance towards the partition. The breathing on the other side is quiet now. He is sleeping. Pray he stays that way. You cannot face the questions in his eyes, the shame of his helplessness, terror that hangs between you. You take the stale bread from the shelf. You will eat it on the way. You have to. You unlatch the door to your garret. It opens onto a narrow, dark landing. The air here is even fuller. Boiled cabbage, stale beer, and unemptied chamber pots from the floors below. This building is a hive, crammed with families living one on top of the other, a vertical slum in the heart of the city's labyrinthine alleys. The stairs are steep and treacherous, slick with grime. You cling to the damp wall for balance, murmur from behind closed doors. An argument in one room, a baby crying in another, the sounds of lives as desperate as your own. Alone in your misery, a thought that is somehow both a comfort and a deeper despair. From the tenement building into the alley, the change in atmosphere is immediate and violent. City hits you full force. The alley, no wider than your outstretched arms, is a river of mud and filth. Its chamber pots have been tossed from the windows above, pooling with rainwater and horse manure into a stinking, viscous slurry. You have to walk through it. There is no other way. You hold the precious parcel high, close to your chest, and step into the mire. The cold muck seeps instantly through the cracks in your boots, shocking your feet. You grit your teeth and wade forward, your eyes fixed on the sliver of brighter sky at the end of the alley. Is a chaotic assault on the senses. A river of humanity flows in both directions. Hats and fine coats stride with purpose, their walking sticks tapping an arrogant rhythm. Women in fine silks and bonnets glide by, veiled oblivious to the poverty that brushes against their skirts. But mostly it is the poor. A sea of them. Ragged children with old faces dart through the crowd, their hands quick as spiders. Soaked women with hollow eyes and rasping laughs stumble from the doors of public houses. Labourers, faces grimed with soot and sweat, push heavy carts, their muscles straining. The air is thick with the smoke from a million coal fires, roasting chestnuts, unwashed bodies, horse dung, and the pervasive, underlying stench of the River Thames. The great stink. The river, the city's great artery, has become its open sewer. The smell of it is a physical presence that smothers everything. On hot days, it is unbearable. Today, the cold dampens it, but it's still there, the cholera and typhoid that will surely follow. You join the crush, a small, insignificant particle swept along in the current. A brown moth in a swarm of grimy locusts. You keep one hand clutched over the parcel, the other holding your small. The worn purse. A penny nipper could have it in a second. You have seen it happen. The purse contains nothing but a few halfpennies. Your halfpennies. You force yourself to chew on the stale bread. It is like eating sawdust. small pieces and soften them with saliva before you can swallow. Each bite is a chore, a sliver of strength returning, a dulling of the sharpest pangs of hunger. You are walking towards Cheapside, journey of nearly 2 miles through the city's snarled guts. You pass St. Paul's, rising through the smog like a ghost of a mountain, its surface blackened by a century of coal smoke. You see the opulence of the shops, the windows filled with goods you could never dream of owning. Jewellery that sparkles under gaslight, silk in a rainbow of colours, pastries and cakes piled high behind gleaming glass. It is another world, existing alongside yours, but separated by an impassable chasm of wealth. Looking at it feels like pressing a bruise. Finally, you reach the address, Mr. It is a tall, narrow building, respectable and clean, a stark contrast to the tenement you just left, is polished to a high sheen. Your heart hammers against your ribs. This is the moment of judgment. You take a deep breath, trying to calm yourself. You must appear calm, respectable, not desperate. They must not smell the desperation on you. Power. You lift the knocker and let it fall. The sound is heavy, final. After a moment, opened by a man in a butler's uniform. He looks down at you, his expression one of faint disdain. He does not need to speak. His eyes tell you everything. You are dirt and on the doorstep. The sewing, you say, your voice a little hoarse. You hold out the parcel. For Mr. Abernathy, he takes it from you without a word, his fingers avoiding yours, as if you carry the plague. The door part way, leaving you standing on the step. You wait. The seconds stretch into minutes. The cold seeps back into you. Glance at you, a lone, shabby girl waiting at the door of a fine house. You feel their judgment like a physical touch. Paving stones, your face burning with shame. The door opens again. The butler reappears. He holds out his hand. 3 shillings and 6pence. Your heart sinks. It should have been 5 shillings. McStevie was not entirely satisfied with the buttonholes. The butler says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. A portion for the imperfection. For they lie. You know it's a lie. Your buttonholes were flawless. An entire evening on them. Your eyes burning from the candlelight. Every single one was perfect. But what can you do? Argue. Gentlemen of cheating a poor seamstress. They would laugh you out of the street. They would have you arrested for vagrancy. Powerless, and they know it. Thank you, you whisper. The words taste like ash. You hold out your hand, coins into your palm. They are cold and heavy. The price of your skill, your eyesight, your time, your pride. Closes the door. The final solid click of the latch feels like a sentence being passed. You stand there for a moment, the coins clutched in your fist. 3 shillings and 6pence. 1.5 shillings less than you were owed. 1.5 less for rent, for food, for medicine for your father. It is a catastrophic loss. Panic begins to bubble up in your chest. You turn and walk away, your steps quick, desperate. You need to get away from this street, house, from the suffocating weight of your own helplessness. You duck into a narrow lane, leaning against the cold brick of a wall. The panic is a wild bird trapped in your ribs, beating its wings against your bones. Fist and look at the coins. They seem pitifully small. This is what you are worth. Value of your life's only skill. A lie and a handful of silver. A tear escapes your eye, hot and sharp, clean path through the grime on your cheek. You wipe it away angrily. Crying is a luxury. It solves nothing. You weaker. You must think. You must be practical. You count the coins again. The rent is due tomorrow. 4 shillings. You are 6pence short, and that's without buying food or coal or the laudanum for father's cough. A cold dread Far worse than the winter air settles over you. For the first time, a truly terrifying thought enters your mind, unbidden and sharp as a shard of glass. What will you do when this is not enough? The question hangs in the foul air, unanswered. Pali to turn 2. Your mother is gone, taken by a fever 5 years ago. Her people were country folk, far away, little more than names to you now. Your father's family disowned him when he married below his station. You are an island, is rising. You push yourself off the wall. You must buy what you can. You make your way to the street market, here with the smell of life and death. Rotting vegetables lie in piles next to glistening fish on ice, but constant aggressive barrage. Penny a bunch for carrots! Fresh eels. You buy a small bag of coal first. The weight of it is both a burden and a comfort. It means a fire tonight in the vast, encroaching cold. Then a loaf of bread day, old but cheaper, an onion, a small piece of bacon, but it will give some flavor to a soup. Each purchase is an agonizing calculation, the coins leaving your hand one by one. To the apothecary, the shop smells of herbs and chemicals, a clean, sharp scent that is a world away from the street. Spectacles perched on his nose looks at you over the counter. A shilling's worth of laudanum, you say quietly, liquid into a small bottle. Laudanum, a tincture of opium, a blessing and a curse. It will quiet your father's cough, painless sleep, but you know it is not a cure. It is a mask. You watch the precious coins slide across the counter. Purse is empty now, you have nothing left. You clutch your purchases, the coal, the food, the medicine, and begin the long walk back. The seams darker now, more menacing. The faces in the crowd look predatory. Every shadow seems to hold a threat. You are a girl alone, no money and no protection. You are prey. The walk back to the garret is a journey through a landscape of fear. Weight of your choices and the terrifying lightness of your empty pockets. You have staved off disaster for one more day, but the question follows you, a persistent ghost at your heels. Tomorrow the rent is due. You are 6 pence short. Tomorrow, no more work from Mr. Abernathy. His shirt was the last in the order. Tomorrow, the word is no longer a promise. It is a threat. The filthy stairs to your room, your legs heavy as lead. You open the door. The room is as you left it, cold and grey. New sound, a thin, rattling wheeze. You hurry to the partition. Your father is awake. He is sitting on the edge of his cot, his face pale and slick with sweat. His eyes, when they find yours, are wide with a desperate animal fear. Eleanor, he rasps, I can't breathe. His hand is clutched to his chest. On the floor beside his cot is a small. It is spotted with bright crimson blood. The sight of it stops your heart. It is no longer just a cough. It is the beginning of the end. And you have an empty purse and a heart full of terror. Is no longer just the city outside your door. It is here, in this room, devouring the only person you have left in the world. Your mind is a blank slate of panic. You rush to his side. Father, lie back. Your hands are shaking so badly you can barely help him lower his head to the thin, lumpy pillow. His skin is clammy. His breathing a frantic, shallow flutter. You look from his terrified face to the blood-spotted handkerchief on the floor, shrinks to this single, terrible point. The coins you earned, the humiliation you endured, the food you bought, it all feels like a child's game in the face of this. You grab the bottle of laudanum, your fingers fumbling with the cork. You measure out a dose with a shaking hand, adding a little water from the pitcher. Here, father, it will help, dump. He drinks it, his throat working. You wipe his brow with the hem of your sleeve. Then will take time to work. All you can do is wait. You sit on the floor beside his cot, holding his cold hand, to the agonizing struggle for each breath. The silence in the room is broken only by this sound and the frantic beating of your own heart. Outside, the city roars on, indifferent. She would have known what to do. She would have had some herbal remedy, some quiet wisdom. The crisis with a calm strength you cannot begin to muster. But she is 5 years in her grave, and you are all he has. 17-year-old girl, armed with a needle and thread against a world that is actively trying to kill you. The memory of her face is sharp, painful. You remember her hands, calloused like yours, teaching you to stitch. A woman's needle is her sword and her shield. Eleanor, she used to say, with it, she can clothe her family, earn her bread. Her words, once a comfort, now sound like a bitter mockery. Your needle has failed you. It is a tiny weapon against the forces arrayed against you. The greed of men like Abernathy, the disease festering in the city's slums. Crushing poverty that grinds people into dust. Slowly, your father's breathing deepens. The frantic edge subsides. Slower, more regular rhythm. The laudanum is working its magic, pulling him down into the merciful dark of unconsciousness. His face relaxes, the lines of pain smoothing out. He is asleep. You let go of his hand and stand up, your body stiff and cold. You look around the squalid room, at the meager food you purchased, at the small sack of coal. A temporary reprieve, single log thrown to the wolves. Tomorrow will come, and the wolves will be hungrier. A cold of something you don't recognize begins to form in your chest. It is not despair. Despair is a passive, sinking feeling. Something else, something active, something sharp and angry. The injustice of it all burns in your throat like bile. The injustice of your father, a good and honest clerk, brought to this state by a lung fever that no one can cure, of your own tireless work being devalued by a rich man's whim, the injustice of a world where a girl's honor is a fragile, saleable commodity, and her life is worth less than the linen she sews. You walk to the other side of the partition, your side. You build the fire, you lay the kindling, strike the match, and watch the small flame catch. You add the precious lumps of coal one by one. A small circle of warmth begins to push back against the room's deep chill. It is a defiant act, a small rebellion against the cold. You make a soup with the onion and the fatty bacon, boiling it with a piece of the stale bread. The smell fills the small room, a savory aroma that momentarily masks the scent of sickness. You eat your portion slowly, mechanically. You are feeding the machine, needs fuel to continue the fight. As you eat, you stare into the flickering flames of the fire, and you think tomorrow. You think beyond the rent and the next meal. The path you are on leads to one place, the gutter, or the workhouse. Faces of the people who go into the workhouse. They are the faces of the damned, stripped of all hope, all dignity. It is a place from which no one returns whole. There has to be another way. Your mind drifts back to the streets, to the faces of the women you saw, not the ladies in their fine silks, but the others, the ones who walked with a certain sway, whose eyes were bold and direct. The women who wore a little too much paint, whose dresses were a little too bright, and the unfortunates. You, like every respectable girl, had been taught to pity them, to fear them, cross the street to avoid them. They were fallen. They were lost souls. But you also saw something else in their eyes today. You saw survival. They were not starving. Their clothes were not the rags of a seamstress. Gin, when you were counting half-pennies for bread. They lived in a world of cash, of immediate transaction. sold the one thing they had left to sell. The thought is a viper. It coils in the pit of your stomach, venomous and terrifying. No, not you. You are Eleanor Vance, your mother's daughter. You are respectable. Poor, but respectable. Hollow, meaningless. What has respectability earned you? A cold room, a dying father, and an empty purse. Respectability is a luxury for those who can afford it. For you, it is a stone tied around your neck, pulling you under. The fire crackles, small ember onto the floor. You stare at it, a glowing red eye in the darkness. In this city, virtue is a story told by men. A fragile thing they can praise one moment and shatter the next. You are beginning to understand. Is not the place your mother described. It is not a place of clear lines between good and evil, honor and shame. It is a brutal marketplace, and everything and everyone has a price. The laudanum bottle sits on the shelf, a dark promise of oblivion. You and your father, a quiet exit, an end to the struggle. The thought is seductive in its simplicity. A final sleep. But then you look at your hands, the calluses on your fingertips, the tiny scar from the needle prick. Hands of a fighter. They have worked, they have blood, they have created beauty out of nothing. To surrender them now feels like a betrayal of every stitch you have ever sewn. No, you will not surrender. If the world is a marketplace to trade, you will not die in this cold grey room. You will not let your father die because you were too proud. World for what it truly is. A new kind of resolve settles over you, cold and clear as ice. It is a terrifying resolve, desperation. You do not know what you will do. You do not know how, but you know you will do something. You have lived by our broken. The map you were given is useless. You are in uncharted territory now. Draw your own map. One painful step at a time. You get up and add another piece of coal to the fire. You will keep it burning all night. You sit on the floor, your back against the rough plaster wall, and watch the flames dance. You are no longer just Eleanor the seamstress. That girl is beginning to fade, to recede into the past. Memories of green fields and a mother's gentle words. A new person is being forged in this cold, desperate crucible. And she is waiting to be born. The night is long, but for the first time, you are not waiting for the dawn with dread, with a terrible, steely purpose. You will face the monster. You will find a way to feed it, to devour you whole. The choice, for the first time, feels like your own. The next morning, the landlord comes. He is a short, with a face like a spoiled pudding, his breath smelling of stale porter. He doesn't knock. He simply turns the handle and walks in. Small room, sucking the air out of it. The rent girl, he says, his voice Oli. He doesn't look at you. Major furnishings, his eyes calculating their worth. I don't have all of it. You stammer, constructed resolve from the night before crumbling into dust in his presence. My father is unwell, last piece. He finally looks at you, a sneer twisting his lips. Excuses. I've heard em all. The sick father, the dying mother. It's the same old song, 4 shillings now. I have 3 and 6pence. You say, you hold out the coins. He snorts a pig-like sound of contempt. What am I to do with 3 and 6pence? Charity. Pay the full amount by nightfall, or you're out, you and the old man. I've got a family waiting for this room who can pay. He turns to leave, then pauses at the door. He looks you up and down, a slow, makes your skin crawl. His eyes linger on your chest, your face. A pretty thing like you, he says, dropping to a conspiratorial murmur. There are ways for a girl to earn her keep. quicker than suing. The insinuation hangs in the air, thick and file. He gives you a final, knowing wink, and then he is gone, slamming shut behind him. You stand frozen, his words echoing in the silence. The shame is a physical thing, a hot, greasy film covering your skin. He has seen your desperation and named its price. The encounter shatters your last illusions. See here, no decency, only the brutal calculus of survival by nightfall. The deadline is a death sentence, a frantic haze. You try to find more sewing work, going from tailor to draper, skill and speed spilling from your lips, sounding more and more desperate with each rejection. No one has work. Times are hard. Regular girls. You are just another hungry mouth, another pair of hands in a city overflowing with them. By mid-afternoon, exhausted, your hope worn down to a raw nerve, you find yourself standing on a street corner in a part of town you've never dared to venture into before. 7 Dials. A notorious rookery, spider's web of 7 streets converging on a central pillar. Gin palaces spill their drunken patrons into the gutters, and every doorway seems to hide a secret, sordid world where the desperate come. This is the end of the line, and it is here you see her, a woman not much older than you, standing in the entrance to an alley. Her dress is cheap but brightly coloured, a gaudy splash of red against the grey backdrop of the slum. Her lips a slash of crimson, her eyes darkened with coal. She is watching the street, her gaze bold, assessing the men who walk by. She is one of them, one of the fallen women. As you stare, a man in a bowler hat stops to speak to her. A few words, a quick, low negotiation. He nods. She smiles. A quick, humorless flash of teeth leads him into the darkness of the alley. You feel a wave of nausea, but you cannot look away. You are watching a transaction, the rawest form of commerce. It is ugly, it is frightening, but it is happening. A few minutes later, the woman emerges from the alley alone. She smooths her dress, adjusts her hair, and takes up her post again, her expression unchanged. She looks over and her eyes meet yours. To see contain contempt or perhaps a predatory invitation, but you see neither. For a fleeting second, you see a flicker of something else, a weary recognition. The look one survivor gives another across a battlefield. Her face becomes a blank mask again, and she turns her attention back to the street. That look is what does it. Breaks something inside you. The wall between you and her, between the respectable seamstress and the fallen woman, dissolves. Just girls trying to survive in a city that wants to eat you. She has simply found a more direct way to pay the rent. Walk away from 7 Dials, your mind reeling. The landlord's leering face, the woman in the red dress, the 6pence you lack, your father's rattling breath. It all swirls into a single, terrifying imperative. You have run out of respectable options. What feels like hours, your feet carrying you without conscious thought. You find yourself in the Haymarket, its theatres, its oyster bars, and its high-class brothels. Here, conducted in filthy alleys, but behind handsome, curtained windows. The women are better dressed, the clients wealthier. The transaction is the same. You see a house grander than the others, burning brightly on either side of a polished black door. A small, discreet brass plaque reads simply, Ames. There is a carriage waiting outside, its horses stamping impatiently. As you watch, the door opens and a gentleman emerges, adjusting his top hat. He is laughing, his face flushed with wine. A woman stands in the doorway, silhouetted against the warm light from within. She is older, dressed in elegant black silk. She says something to the man, again pressing some coins into her hand, before climbing into his carriage and rattling away. The woman in black watches him go, her smile vanishing the moment the carriage turns the corner. Her face in the gaslight is hard, intelligent, and tired. She is the madame. This small, strange army. She turns to go back inside, but her eyes fall on you, standing across the street like a stray dog. You should turn and flee back to your garret, back to your familiar, hopeless poverty. But your feet are rooted to the spot, is hours away. Your father is sleeping a drugged sleep, oblivious. This is your choice, your Gethsemane. The woman, Mrs. Blackwood, cocks her head, her expression unreadable. She gives a small, almost imperceptible nod, an invitation, or a challenge. The air tastes of coal smoke and fog. You cross the street. Each step is a lifetime. You are leaving Eleanor Vance on the other side of the road. With each step, you can feel your mother's memory fading, her voice growing fainter. You are walking towards a door, and you know that if you walk through it, you can never go back. You reach the steps. They are clean, scrubbed white. You look up at the woman. She is even more imposing up close. Her hair is perfectly coiffed, her black dress immaculate. Eyes betray her. They are old, ancient, and they see everything. They see your frayed dress, your chapped hands, and the resolve warring on your face. "Lost little bird?" she asks. Her voice is low and husky, not unkind, but stripped of all illusion. You cannot speak. You can only nod. "Most of the birds who find their way to my door are," she says. "You fainter." She looks you up and down again, the same way the landlord did, but it feels different. It is not lecherous. It is professional, of a butcher assessing a cut of meat. You're thin, but you have good bones. And your eyes, you have frightened eyes, but there's a fire in them. Fear can be useful. It keeps you sharp. She opens the door wider, and warmth from inside spill out onto the street. The sound of a piano playing a gentle tune, and the faint scent of perfume and wine. It smells of life, a corrupt life, perhaps warmth, food, a roof over your head. The first step is the hardest. Mrs. Blackwood says softly, "Are behind you, aren't they? And this is a kind of cage, but it is a warm cage. We feed our birds well here." You look back one last time at the dark, grimy street. You see the faces of the hungry, the desperate, river of the poor. You see your garret, cold and dark. You hear your father's agonized breathing. The wolves are indeed behind you, and they are closing in. You lift your foot and place it on the first step. Is cold under the thin sole of your boot. You look at Mrs. Blackwood. You do not smile. You do not cry. Stone, you have made your choice. Or rather, the city has made it for you. "What is your name?" she asks. You hesitate. The name belongs to another girl, another life. A girl who believed in honor and perfect stitches. Not enter this house. "Nell," you say, the name feeling strange and new on your tongue. "My name is Nell." "My name is Nell," nods slowly. "Welcome to my house, Nell." She stands aside, and you walk through the door, closes behind you with a soft, final thud. The sound of the city disappears. You are inside. The air is warm, with the scent of beeswax and roses. The piano music is louder now. You stand in a lavishly decorated hall. Dress us a smear of dirt in a jewel box. You have traded your soul for sixpence and a warm room. Terrifying part is, with a sickening certainty that you have made the right decision. Mrs. You not into the grand parlor from which the music emanates, but down a narrow corridor and up a steep flight of back stairs. Servants rout. The glamour of the entrance hall quickly gives way to a more functional reality. The air grows cooler. This is the working part of the house. You pass closed doors from which you hear whispers, and from one, a low, rhythmic creaking that makes your stomach clench. You keep your eyes fixed on Mrs. Blackwood's straight, black-clad back. It's a door at the end of a long hallway on the 3rd floor. The room is small, a cell, but it is a world away from your garret. A proper bed with a thick mattress and clean white sheets, a small wardrobe, a washstand with a ceramic basin and pitcher, chipped. A small barred window looks out over a dark alleyway. It is a cage, as she said, but it is clean, it is warm. This will be your room, Mrs. Blackwood says, her voice all business now. You will share it with Rose. She is moment. She gestures for you to enter. You step inside, feeling like an intruder. The first rule of this house is discretion. What you see here, what you hear here, stays here. Who visit us value their privacy above all else. You will never speak of them or to them outside of these walls. You will never use their real names, even if you learn them. They are Sir or Mr. or whatever name they choose to give you. You nod, your throat too tight to speak. The second rule is cleanliness. You will bathe every day, downstairs with hot water, a luxury I assure you. You will keep your body, your hair, and your clothes immaculate, pay for fantasy, not for the filth of the streets you just left. You with suitable attire. She opens the wardrobe. Inside hang several dresses, shock of color and texture after the dull brown of your own garment. One is of deep blue satin, another of emerald green velvet, another of a soft, pale pink silk trimmed with lace. They are beautiful, but they are also costumes. They are cut lower at the bodice than any respectable dress. They are designed to advertise. The third rule, she continues, her voice hardening slightly, is obedience. You will do as I say. You will be pleasant and accommodating to the clients. Steal from them. You will not argue with them. If a man is rough, you will learn to endure it. If you have a problem you cannot handle, you come to me, not the peelers, never the peelers. I protect my girls, loyalty in return. She turns to face you fully, her dark eyes pinning you in place. House takes half of everything you earn. From that half, I will deduct the cost of your room, your board, your clothing, visits you may require. The rest is yours. You can save it, spend it on gin and trinkets like the foolish girls do. The choice is yours, long enough to save anything meaningful. The words are cold, brutal, but clear. This is a business. You are her employee. Now, she says, her tone softening almost imperceptibly, take off those rags. There is a bath waiting for you. Then, you look half-starved. Tonight, you will just watch. You will learn. Your apprenticeship begins tomorrow. She leaves you alone in the room. You stand in the center of the floor, the silence pressing in on you. At your reflection in the small-looking glass above the washstand. The girl who stares back is a stranger, and smudged with dirt, her eyes wide with a terror so profound it looks like madness. This is the last time you will see her. Dress slowly, your fingers fumbling with the buttons of your old brown dress. You fold it neatly and place it on the chair, and out of place in this room. A relic from a buried life. You are naked now, your thin body shivering. Is not cold. You are exposed, vulnerable. A young maid, no older than 15, comes to fetch you for your bath. She doesn't speak, just gestures for you to follow, her eyes averted. She leads you to a small, steamy room in the basement. Copper tub is filled with hot water. The steam billows around it, smelling of soap and carbolic. The luxury is so immense, so overwhelming, it feels like a form of violence. You haven't felt truly hot water on your skin in years. You step into the tub, almost painful at first. Then it sinks into you, chasing away the deep, settled chill in your bones. You sink down into the water, the steam enveloping you, and you begin to cry, not for the choice you have made, but for the sheer of being warm and clean. You cry for the simple human dignity you have been denied for so long, regained by sacrificing what was supposed to be its very foundation. You scrub your skin raw, wash away not just the dirt of the London streets, but the grime of poverty, the memory of the landlord's sneer. Eleanor Vance, you are washing yourself away. When you are done, the maid gives you a soft, clean chemise to wear, to a small kitchen where a plate of hot stew and a thick slice of bread are waiting for you. You eat like a starving animal, food, just forcing it down, filling the aching void in your stomach. The warmth spreads through you, a heavy, calming sensation. Later, dressed in one of the borrowed dresses, the pink silk wrung against your skin, you are brought to the main parlor. The room is opulent, suffocating. Heavy velvet curtains, plush carpets, gilded mirrors that reflect the scene from a dozen angles. The air is thick with cigar smoke and the sweet, cloying scent of perfume. A man is playing the piano, his fingers dancing over the keys. Several other girls are scattered around the room, sofas, talking and laughing with a group of gentlemen. The girls are all so beautiful, so poised. Their laughter sounds genuine, easy. You see the girl in the emerald green dress lean over to whisper something in a man's ear, and he roars with laughter to his lap. It is a performance, a masterful one. You are watching a play, and soon you will be expected to take the stage, introduced as Nell, the new girl. The other girls look you over with a mixture of curiosity, pity, and professional assessment. The one in emerald green gives you a quick, cynical smile. "Don't look so terrified," she murmurs as she passes you. "The first night's always the worst. Just pretend you're somewhere else. We all do." You spend the evening sitting in a corner, trying to be invisible. You watch. You listen. You learn the currency of this world. Touch on an arm. The flirtatious laugh. The feigned interest in a boring story. You learn that the men are not monsters. They are ordinary. They are bankers, merchants, lawyers. Some are young and nervous, others old and jowly. Husbands and fathers. They come here to buy an hour of fantasy, an escape from their own respectable lives. The one thing their money cannot get them. In the drawing rooms of their wives, the illusion of power without condition. And you and these other girls are the product they are purchasing. Later that night, back in your small room, you meet your roommate. Rose is small and fair, like face and eyes that seem permanently clouded with a kind of bewildered sadness. She doesn't say much, curls up in her bed and turns her face to the wall. You lie in your own bed, the clean sheets cool against your skin. Your stomach full for the first time in months. You are warm. You are safe from the street. You have paid the rent of your body. Sleep does not come. You stare at the bars on the window. You think of your father, alone in the cold garret. You clutch the coins Mrs. gave you. An advance, she called it. 5 shillings, enough for the rent and more. Tomorrow, you will find a way to get it to him. You have found a new position, a live-in job with a wealthy lady, a lie to protect him. Protect yourself from the truth in his eyes. You close your eyes and the faces of the men from the parlor swim in the darkness, their hands, their voices. You feel a profound, soul-deep revulsion. This is your life now. You are Nell. You are a whore. Sold your body, but as you lie there, a cold, hard thought surfaces from the depths of your despair. You have not sold your soul. They can buy your time, your performance, your flesh. But the part of you that observes, that remembers what they are making you do, That part is still yours. It is a tiny, flickering candle in a vast, dark room. And you vow every fiber of your being to keep it from being extinguished. Survival is no longer enough. Now is to endure this without becoming one of them, without letting the performance become the reality. You will be a ghost in this machine, a spy in the house of desire, and you will remember everything, a blur of instruction and preparation. Lottie, the jaded girl in the green dress, is assigned by Mrs. to be your tutor. She is perhaps 5 years older than you, but her eyes hold the wariness of a woman twice her age. You under her wing with a kind of brisk, unsentimental pragmatism. "Right then, Nell," she says, over in the morning light. "First things first, you look like a frightened rabbit. You need to learn to walk differently." Apologizing for taking up space, shoulders back, head up. Walk like you own the ground you're walking on. Your insides are churning like bad milk. She makes you walk back and forth across the small bedroom, correcting your posture. No, not a march like a soldier, a sway, just a little. Let your hips do the talking. Men are fools, and their brains turn to porridge. Next is conversation, to hear about your troubles. She instructs, filing her nails with a small metal file. They have enough of their own, or so they like to think. They want to be amused. They want to be flattered. Ask them about their work. It's deadly dull. Tell them they are clever and strong and handsome. Even if they're a fat old toad with breath that could curdle paint. A lie well told is worth a sovereign. A truth poorly timed can get you a black eye. She teaches you the art of the feigned blush, the strategic lowering of the eyes, musical laugh that reveals nothing. It is a language of deceit, a complex dance of submission and control. You are to be a mirror back at them, the man they wish they were. The hardest lesson is about touch. Let them touch your hand, your arm. Lottie says, but always be the one to pull away first. It keeps them wanting. And never, ever let them see you flinch. Not ever. Go somewhere else in your head. Think of, I don't know. Think of a hat you want to buy, or a story you read. Go there. Leave your body here to do the work. Go somewhere else in your head. The advice is both practical and horrifying. The transaction, the renting out of your physical form while your consciousness takes refuge elsewhere. That afternoon, you are given your first real task. Mrs. Blackwood summons you to her office, a small, tidy room filled with ledgers and account books. A gentleman is coming this afternoon, she says from her paper. Mixed green. He is a regular. He is quiet. And he has a preference for new girls. Rose is unwell. Place. The words fall like stones into the pit of your stomach. Hay will be here at 3. Help you dress. Do not disappoint me, Nell. You feel the blood drain from your face. You nod, unable to form words. Plunge you in the hallway, your face a mask of terror. Oh, it's just old green, she says with a dismissive wave of her hand. Hay's harmless, a bit of a sad sack really. His wife is a dragon, or so he says. Just wants someone to sit with him and hold his hand and let him weep about his investments. Easy work, a good one to start on. Her casual tone does little to soothe the frantic hammering in your chest into a dress of deep crimson. It fits you too well. The fabric is soft against your skin that feels like a violation. She pinches your cheeks to bring some color to them, applies a touch of rosewater to your wrists. She says, stepping back, you look the part. Just remember what I told you. Go somewhere else in your head. At precisely 3 o'clock, a knock comes at the front door. You are waiting in the parlor. clenched into fists in the folds of your dress. Mrs. Blackwood ushers in a man. He is middle-aged, with thinning hair and a soft, fleshy face. He looks less like a predator and more like a lost child. This is Mr. Green. He looks at you, kind of nervous apology. "Good afternoon, miss." He says, his voice soft. "Good afternoon, sir." You reply, a strained whisper. Mrs. Blackwood smiles her cool, professional smile. "Nell will take care of you. Mr. Green is prepared." She gives you a sharp, meaningful look and then leaves, closing the parlor doors behind her. You are alone with him. The silence is deafening. You can hear the clock ticking on the mantelpiece blow against your sanity. "You are new," he says, stating the obvious. "Yes, you are very young. You say nothing. You just look at the floor, your heart pounding." He takes a step closer. Smell the scent of bay rum and wool. He reaches out and takes your hand. His hand is soft, slightly damp, not to pull away. You feel his thumb stroking the back of your hand. You flinch, an involuntary tremor. His face falls, frightening you. He asks, his voice full of genuine concern. The question is so unexpected, so human. Your terror for a second. You look up at him. You see not a monster, but a sad, lonely man. This is almost worse. "No, sir." You lie, finding your voice. "I am just new to this." "Of course," he says, gently, "of course." "Shall we go upstairs?" You lead him up the grand staircase to the blue room. It's pale blue wallpaper and velvet curtains. It is a beautiful room with a large four-poster bed dominating the space. The panic rise in you again, hot and choking. This is it. The moment has arrived. Doesn't move towards the bed. Instead, he sits in an armchair by the window and gestures for you to take the one opposite. You sit, perched on the edge of the seat, your posture rigid. He sighs, a long, wary sound. "My company, it had a very bad quarter." He begins. Lottie predicted. He starts to talk. He talks about shares and dividends, about competitors and market fluctuations, spending, his son's gambling debts. He talks and talks, his voice a low, monotonous drone. You sit and listen. In the right places. You murmur sympathetic phrases. "Lottie taught you. How dreadful for you, sir. You must be very strong to bear such a burden." You are performing, and to your astonishment, you are good at it. The seamstress in you, the part that values precision and attention to detail, takes over. This is just another kind of piecework. Instead of a needle and thread, your tools are words and gestures. After nearly an hour, he falls silent. He looks at you with unshed tears. "Thank you, my dear," he says. "You are a very good listener." He stands up. He walks over to you. Terrifying moment. You think he is going to kiss you, to demand the physical part of the bargain. Instead, he just gently touches your cheek. "You remind me of my daughter," he says softly, "before she grew up and learned to despise me." He leaves a handful of coins on the mantelpiece, far more than the standard rate, and then he is gone. You sit alone in the blue room, dress feeling like a costume from a play that has just ended. You are shaking. You have not been touched, not been violated in the way you feared. You have been used as a confessional, a silent vessel for a sad man's disappointments. Feel dirty. You feel as if his unhappiness has left a greasy film on your soul. Back to your room and find Lottie waiting for you. "See," she says with a small smile. "I told you he was harmless." "I feel strange," you say, sitting on your bed. "That's the job, Nell," she says, her smile fading. "Strange. The day you stop feeling strange is the day you should be worried. You're starting to believe the performance." Later that evening, you managed to sneak out of the house for a short time. 5 shillings to a young boy, a street urchin you know you can trust. Instructions to deliver it to the landlord of your old building, to say it is from Eleanor Vance. Give him a small note for your father, a tissue of lies about your new, wonderful position as a lady's companion you will visit soon. The deceit tastes like poison, but it is a necessary one. You have kept him safe. You have paid the rent, warmth, and light of Mrs. Blackwood's house. The foul London fog swirling around you as you slip back through the servants' entrance. You have crossed a line. First wages in this new trade. You are no longer just a victim of circumstance. You are an active participant. You are Nell, the girl who listens to sad men's stories for money. And as you climb the stairs to your room, how many other versions of yourself you will have to become to survive this life. You have mastered the art of listening. You know with a cold certainty that not all the men will be like Mr. Green. The quiet ones are just the beginning. The loud ones, angry ones, the cruel ones are yet to come, and you will have to find a new person to be for each and every one of them. The days at Mrs. settle into a strange, disorienting rhythm, a life lived in reverse. The house sleeps during the day, a quiet, shuttered beast. Drift about in their dressing gowns, their faces pale without their paint, their voices hushed. They share gossip, mend their clothes, read penny dreadfuls, or simply stare out of the windows at the sliver of world they are allowed to see, of waiting. The real day begins at dusk. The house comes alive with the lighting of the gas lamps. The maids scurry to and fro. Perfume and hot wax fills the air. The transformation begins. You sit before the small-looking glass in your room, a silent presence beside you, and you paint on your face. You are not Eleanor anymore. You are creating Nell. Use the coal to make your eyes look larger, more mysterious. You learn to bite your lips to make them red and full. Taught you to save on rouge. You arrange your hair in the fashionable style with soft curls framing your face that stares back at you is a work of fiction, a beautiful, alluring mask designed to hide the frightened girl underneath. Selling your body, Lottie once said, with a wry twist of her lips, you're selling a story, and you're the main character. Your nights are a parade of men. You learn their types as a scholar learns her text. There are the sad, gentle men who want only companionship and a sympathetic ear. They are the easiest. Then there are the boys, out of university, flushed with their first taste of freedom and their father's money. They are clumsy and eager, nervous bravado, and you learn to guide them through the act with a gentle, feigned expertise that makes them feel like conquerors. Merchants loud and bombastic, smelling of cigars and brandy. They want to be entertained, ribald jokes and loud laughter. With them, you must be boisterous and witty, a drinking companion who also shares their bed. You on the back and call you a good sport, and you smile until your face aches, your mind 1,000 miles away. Dark ones, the ones the girls whisper about, the ones who carry a violence in their eyes. Mr. Davies is one of them. Man, a factory owner, they say. He is handsome, always impeccably dressed, and unfailingly polite in the parlour. Upstairs, behind the closed door of the room, he changes. He does not want conversation. He wants silence. He wants fear. The first time you are with him, he asks you to stand in the middle of the room and not move. He walks around you, not touching you. His gaze is cold, analytical, like a scientist studying an insect. The silence stretches on, thick and terrifying. You can hear your own blood roaring in your ears. You follow Lottie's advice. You go somewhere else. You retreat into the memory of your father's garret, to the familiar feel of linen under your fingertips, entire shirt in your mind, while your body stands frozen in that room. When he has finished looking the money on the table and walks out without a word, you are left shaking, violated by his gaze more than any physical touch. The other girls have stories about him, whispered in the dead of night, stories of bruises hidden by high-necked dresses, who left the room with a deadness in their eyes that never quite faded, to dread the sight of his carriage outside the house. Life is a constant performance, and the strain is immense. On a knife's edge of vigilance, you must be constantly aware of the client's mood, of Mrs. Blackwood's watchful eyes, subtle rivalries between the girls. Money is the source of all tension. A girl who is popular with the clients earns more, and with it, of the others, you are surprisingly popular. Your quietness, your air of a fallen lady, appeals to a certain type of man. A project, a sullied angel they can possess for an hour. You earn is more than you could have ever dreamed of as a seamstress. You send a portion of it to your father each week. In another lie-filled letter, you tell him you have received a promotion, that your mistress is generous. You hope he believes you. You visit him once. You dress in your old brown dress, scrub your face clean of all paint, and tie your hair back in a simple bun. You try to become Eleanor again, but the transformation feels incomplete. You cannot wash the knowledge from your eyes, the practiced poise from your posture. The garret is colder and damper than you remember. Father is weaker, his skin almost translucent, but his eyes light up when he sees you. Eleanor, he breathes, my girl. He looks at you, his gaze full of pride. Your mistress must value you greatly. You look, the lie sticks in your throat. You tell him about the fictional old lady you care for, about the quiet life in a grand house in Kensington. You paint a picture of respectability and comfort. Each word is a betrayal. He holds your hand, his grip surprisingly strong. You are a good daughter, Eleanor. Your mother would be so proud. You have to turn away so he doesn't see the tears welling in your eyes. You feel like a fraud, a monster. The money you give him, the money that pays for his medicine and little extra food, is earned in ways that would shatter his world. This is the core of your damnation. The acts that are destroying you are the only things keeping him alive. You are saving him by damning yourself. When you leave the garret and walk back towards Mrs. Blackwood's, the city seems to mock you. The respectable women on the street in their fine clothes, the mothers with their children, they live in a world you can see but never touch again. You are a ghost haunting the edges of their reality. Back at the house, you plunge back into the life of Nell. The wine the clients offer you, you laugh at their jokes. You learn the art of dissociation so well that sometimes you feel like you are floating above your own body, watching a stranger perform these acts. But there are cracks in the facade, small moments of genuine connection that are almost more dangerous than the cruelty. Sometimes, late at night, Lottie will come to your room. Of gin she has stolen from the pantry, and you will sit on the floor sipping the fiery liquid from teacups. These moments her cynical mask slips. She tells you about her own past, about being a farmer's daughter from Devon, seduced and abandoned in London by a man who promised her marriage. She tells you about the child she had died of fever in the workhouse infirmary. We're all just running from something, Nell. She tells you, with gin and sorrow, oh, poverty, a cruel husband, a broken heart. This place, it's just another kind of trap. It's a gilded one. But you share stories with her, edited versions of your own past. You talk about your father of sewing. You don't tell her about the shame The feeling of being split in two. You don't need to. She already knows. Two, this shared unspoken understanding is a form of intimacy, a fragile bond in a world of commercial transactions. Your roommate is a different story. She is sinking. She moves through the days like a sleepwalker, her doll-like face getting thinner, the sadness in her eyes deepening into a permanent state of despair. She has found her escape not in gin or in mental dissociation, the end of an opium pipe. Some of the clients bring it for her, and Mrs. Blackwood turns a blind eye. As long as Rose can still perform her duties, you see her fading, disappearing into the sweet, sickly smoke. See a possible future for yourself. It terrifies you. One evening, a new threat arrives, not in the form of a client. Piece of paper. A notice is posted announcing the enforcement of the Contagious Diseases Acts in the area. The power to arrest any woman suspected of being a prostitute and force her to undergo a medical examination. If she is found to be diseased, she can be locked away in a lock hospital for months. Vergorted. The news sends a wave of terror through the house. Mrs. Blackwood assures them that her house is discreet, powerful, and that they are safe. But the fear is palpable. The state, the law, men who are their clients in the darkness, have now sanctioned a new form of violation against them in the light of day. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. A woman's body is a private commodity in the bedroom, but a public problem on the street. Changes the atmosphere in the house. The laughter in the parlor seems more brittle, the smiles more strained. At the door could be a client, or it could be the police. The gilded cage has suddenly revealed the cold iron of its bars. Atmosphere of heightened fear that Mr. Davies returns. You have managed to avoid him for weeks, but tonight runs out. Mrs. Blackwood tells you he has specifically asked for you. Behave yourself, Nell. She warns, her eyes hard. Patron of this house. You feel a cold dread creep up your spine. You dress slowly, your hands shaking. You choose a simple, high-necked dress, a subconscious attempt to arm yourself. When you enter the parlor, he is waiting, his handsome face. "Good evening, Nell," he says smoothly. "I was hoping I would see you tonight." He leads you upstairs. He doesn't just stand and look. He locks the door. Key turning in the lock is the loudest sound you have ever heard. "Take off your dress," he says, his voice quiet, calm. Your heart is a frantic bird in your chest. "Now," he says, the single word sharp as a whip crack. Slowly, trembling, you undo the buttons. The dress pulls around your feet. You stand before him in your thin chemise. You are trying to go somewhere else in your head, to the garret, to the feel of Lennon, but the fear is too strong. It holds you here, in this room, in this moment. He doesn't touch you. To the mantelpiece and picks up a pair of scissors from a sewing kit left there by a maid. He walks back to you, gleaming in the gaslight. "Hold out your arm," he commands. You do as you are told, your arm outstretched, trembling, the sleeve of your chemise between his fingers. And then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he begins to cut it away, scissors whispering against your skin. He cuts the fabric into thin strips, letting them fall to the floor, way up your arm, to your shoulder, his movements precise, unhurried. He is not angry. He is not aroused. Something far more terrifying. He is in control. He is deconstructing you, piece by piece, sleeve and starts on the other. The air is cold on your exposed skin. You are being methodically, calmly stripped bare. This is not about lust. It is about power. It is about demonstrating in the most intimate way possible that you are a thing he can take apart at his leisure. The last strip of fabric falls to the floor. He looks at you, at your half-naked, shivering form. A flicker of something, satisfaction, triumph, crosses his face. He puts the scissors back on the mantelpiece, pile of gold sovereigns beside them, and walks to the door. He unlocks it and leaves without another word. A long time, surrounded by the white shreds of your chemists. You are not physically harmed. There is not a mark on you, but you have never felt more broken. He has found the one part of you that you thought was still your own, your mind, to retreat, and he has invaded it with a cold, silent terror. He has shown you that there is no place you can go in your own head where he cannot reach you. You slowly sink to the floor, wrapping your arms around yourself, and for the first time since you entered this house, you weep without sound, a girl who has just realized that the cage is not the house or the room. The cage is your own skin, are trapped inside it. The incident with Mr. Davies leaves a permanent scar on your psyche. The other girls notice a change in you. The quietness that was once seen as alluring now has a brittle, haunted edge. You perform your duties with a chilling efficiency, mechanical perfection that unnerves even the most jaded clients. You have built a new wall inside yourself, higher and colder than before. Nell is no longer just a character you play. She is a fortress, and inside, Eleanor is a prisoner. With Rose deepens in its shared misery. Her descent into opium addiction accelerates. Some nights you wake to find her weeping silently in her bed, her body racked with tremors. Other nights she is lost in a euphoric haze. Beautiful, impossible worlds she sees behind her eyes. You try to help her, to coax her to eat, to talk to her, trying to reach someone at the bottom of a deep well. It's better this way, Nell, she whispers to you one night, pinpricks in her pale blue eyes. In the dreams, I'm not here, I'm free. You see the appeal, oblivion of the pipe. Some of the men offer it to you, a special treat. It is a constant temptation, the promise of a temporary escape from the prison of your own mind. But the sight of Rose fading day by day holds you back. You will not allow yourself that escape. You will stay present, you will endure. It is a form of penance, holding on to some sliver of yourself. Your secret life as a benefactor to your father continues. Your letters become more elaborate, more detailed. You invent colleagues, describe dinner parties, recount amusing anecdotes about your fictional mistress, a fantasy life, and sending it to him chapter by chapter. His replies are full of joy and pride. He tells you he is feeling stronger, that the medicine is working wonders. He doesn't know that the medicine is paid for by the degradation he could never imagine. Every proud word he writes is a dagger in your heart, author of his happiness and the architect of your own shame, a truth so twisted it feels like madness. Then, the outside world intrude a way that shatters the fragile equilibrium of Mrs. Blackwood's house. Cholara arrives in London. As a whisper in the poorer districts, a rumour of a blue death that turns victims cold and blue before killing them within hours. Miasma theory, the belief that disease is spread by bad air, grips the city in a panic. People burn bonfires in the streets, the foul-smelling air from the Thames. But the deaths continue to mount, the disease creeps closer. A maid in a neighbouring house dies, then a baker down the street. The panic is a tangible thing now, a sour taste in the air. The number of clients at Mrs. Blackwood's dwindles. The men of London are afraid of the night, afraid of contact, afraid of the unseen pestilence that could be lurking on anyone's breath or skin. The house grows quiet. The evenings are long and tense. The girls, usually fractious and competitive, are now united by a common fear. They huddle together in the parlour, speaking in low voices, Every sound from the street, the economic reality of the plague is as terrifying as the disease itself. No clients means no money. Blackwood's face is a grim, worried mask. The reserves are not infinite. You are terrified for your father, his weak lungs. He would be no match for the cholera. You send him more money, urging him in your letters to buy only clean water from the cart, to boil everything, to stay inside. You feel a desperate, clawing helplessness. You are trapped in this house, unable to go to him, unable to protect him except through your anonymous, tainted money. Lottie falls ill. It begins with a stomach cramp, a complaint she dismisses as the result of bad fish. But soon, she is vomiting violently. Her skin takes on a pale, bluish tinge. The girls scatter from her in terror. It's the cholera. Mrs. acts with swift, brutal efficiency. "Get her out of here," she commands two of the burly servants who work in the house. Hospital. The girls know what this means. The public hospitals are death traps, where the sick are left to die in filth and misery. To be sent there is a death sentence. You rush to Lottie's side. She is weak, her body trembling. "No," she whispers, her eyes pleading with you. "Don't let them take me, Nell, please." "You Blackwood, you can't," you cry out, standing between the servants and Lottie's bed. "She'll die there. Care for her here, and have us all infected." Mrs. Blackwood snaps, her face a mask of cold fury. "This is a business, a charity hospital. I will not have the Blue Death in my house. Get out of the way, girl." "No," you say, your voice shaking but firm. For the first time, you are openly defying her. The other girls watch, wide-eyed with terror and a dawning respect. Mrs. stares at you, her eyes like chips of ice. You see a flicker of something in them, not anger, but calculation. If she is seen to abandon one of her own so callously, the fragile loyalty of the other girls will shatter. An open rebellion would be disastrous. She holds your gaze for a long moment. Then she gives a sharp, frustrated sigh. "Fine," she says. "Put her in the attic room, the one at the back. Quarantine it. No one goes in or out except Nell. If you catch it, girl, and if she dies, you will dispose of the body yourself. Understood?" You nod, terror warring within you. The servants carry Lottie, wrapped in a blanket, up the narrow stairs to a small, isolated room at the very top of the house. It is little better than your old garret. You are left alone with her. From the outside, a tray of supplies is left for you: buckets, carbolic soap, a little food and water. 3 days, you become a nurse. You fight a desperate, losing battle against the disease. Lottie's head as she retches until there is nothing left inside her. You bathe her feverish skin, temperature down. You force sips of water between her lips, even as her body expels it almost immediately, with the stench of sickness and death. You do not sleep. You do not eat. You function on pure adrenaline and fear. In her moments of delirium, Lottie talks. She is back on her father's farm in Devon. She talks to her horses, describes the smell of the apple blossoms in spring. She calls out for her dead child, filled with a mother's unquenchable grief. You are no longer with Lottie the cynical prostitute. You are with Charlotte, the farmer's daughter, a girl whose life took a wrong turn and led her to this stinking deathbed. You hold her hand, murmur soothing words. You listen to the unfiltered story of her soul. On the third night, you know the end is near. Shallow, her pulse a faint thready flutter. Her skin is cold and clammy. She becomes lucid for a few minutes. Her eyes find yours. "Nell," she whispers, her voice a dry rustle. "You're a good girl. Don't talk, Lottie. Save your strength." A small, sad smile touches her blue lips. "Funny, isn't it? all the money, and it ends here. Alone in an attic, she coughs, a weak, rattling sound. There's a loose floorboard. Room, a small box, it's yours. Her eyes begin to lose focus. It's so cold, she whispers, shivering violently. You pile every blanket you have on top of her. You hold her, trying to give her your own body heat, trying to warm a stone. She dies just before dawn. The passing is quiet, a final, gentle sigh, and then stillness. The silence in the room is absolute, profound. You are alone with her body. You sit there for an hour, maybe more, in a state of shock. The first rays of the morning sun stream through the grimy window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Is waking up to another day of fear. You look at Lottie's face. In death, the lines of wariness and cynicism have smoothed away. She looks young again. She looks like Charlotte. You do what you have to do. You follow Mrs. Blackwood's grim instructions. The body one last time. You wrap it tightly in the bedsheets. Then, in the dead of night, you and one of the terrified, silent servants carry her down the back stairs and out into the alley. You leave her there, bundle for the collectors of the dead to find. There is no ceremony, no prayer, just a quiet, sordid disposal, consumed by plague. One more dead, who is not even a statistic. You return to the house, your body aching, your soul numb. Old room. You find the loose floorboard under the bed. Inside is a small tin box. You open it. It is filled with coins. Gold sovereigns, shillings, pennies, her life's savings. A small fortune, scraped together coin by coin, lie by lie. There is also a faded photograph of a baby wrapped in a shawl. Her son. You close the box, clutching it to your chest. This is Lottie's legacy. Tainted money and a mother's love. You feel an anger so cold and so pure it burns. An anger at the city, at the men, at the disease, at a world that could take a girl like Charlotte and grind her down to this. The cholera epidemic has brought the city to its knees, but for you, it has become a crucible. You have faced death. You have held it in your hands. You have lost the only friend you had in this house. The fear you once felt has been burned away by something harder, more resilient. You are no longer just surviving, you are bearing witness. You have Lottie's story, her son's picture, and her secret savings. You are the keeper of her memory, and you realize with a chilling clarity is a responsibility that will change you forever. You are not just a whore anymore. You are a repository of secrets, the stories of the dead. And in a city of lies, that makes you dangerous. The cholera eventually burns itself out, a foul tide, leaving behind a city scarred and traumatized. The wealthy who had fled to the countryside return, fill again, and the machinery of London life begins to grind back into motion. At Mrs. Blackwood's, the doors reopen, and the clients begin to trickle back, but the house is changed. Lottie's absence is a palpable void, a more subdued, their laughter less frequent, their eyes holding a new, shared shadow of the horrors they have witnessed. You are changed most of all. The girl who flinched at a man's touch, who wept with shame, is gone. In her place is a woman of unnerving calm, for Lottie has hardened into a cold diamond, hard resolve. You have a purpose now, beyond mere survival. You have her savings, a secret treasure hidden away, and with it, a seed of an idea escape. Not just for yourself, but for someone else too. Falls more and more often on Rose. Rose did not catch the cholera, has pushed her further into the arms of her opium addiction. She is a ghost now, her body frail, adrift in a perpetual twilight. She is barely able to work, and Mrs. Blackwood's patience is wearing thin. You see Lottie's fate waiting for Rose, a different disease, a slower death, but just as certain. You cannot save Lottie, but perhaps you can't save Rose. You become her protector. Use your growing influence in the house, an influence born of your cold competence and misses Blackwood's grudging respect after you handled the Lottie situation to shield her. When Rose is too lost in her dreams to see a client, working twice as hard, pushing your body and mind to their limits, you use your earnings to buy her food, some strength back into her emaciated frame. You begin to wean her off the laudanum, agonizing withdrawal symptoms, the sweats, the shakes, the desperate, pleading cries for just one more dose. You hold her through the night, whispering stories, promises of a different life, a quiet place in the country, away from all of this. It is a desperate gamble. During this time, you make a startling discovery. One of your regular clients is a man named Mr. Howard, clerk in a government office, a quiet, unassuming man who, like Mr. Green, seems to want conversation more than carnal relations. Fascinated by the workings of the city, by the hidden networks of power and influence, in your conversations seeking to please him, share sanitized, anonymous observations about the lives of the women in the house, about the hypocrisy of the men who visit. He speaks of the contagious diseases acts, defending them as a necessary public health measure. A quiet rage and the memory of Lottie's terror, you challenge him. You speak, hypothetically of course, about the reality of the laws. You tell him how they are used not to protect public health, but to control and terrorize women. You describe the humiliation of the forced examinations, the powerlessness of a woman accused by any man with a grudge. Hospitals, not as places of healing, but as prisons. Mr. Howard listens, his expression growing more and more troubled. The newspapers are the parliamentary reports. They all say these measures are working. The men who write the reports are the same men who use these houses, sir. You say quietly, truth about a system that benefits them. They write about fallen women as a plague to be cleansed, stain on the city's honor. They don't write about the poverty that drives a girl to this life. They don't write about the lack of options, the starvation wages of a seamstress that are not enough to keep a roof over her head. You are speaking about yourself. The words pour out of you, a torrent of suppressed truth. He is silent for a long time, staring at you. You fear you have gone too far, broken the cardinal rule of pleasing the client. But he does not get angry. He looks at you with a new, dawning understanding. I never thought of it that way. He says slowly. He begins to bring you things. Not gifts of jewelry or perfume, but pamphlets, sacredly printed, radical essays arguing for the repeal of the acts. He brings you copies of a new journal, written by women fighting back, telling their own stories. He is part of a nascent resistance movement. Work of social reformers, Quakers, and early feminists who are exposing the truth. Reading these texts in the dead of night is like opening a window in a sealed tomb. You are not alone. Other women are fighting, using words as weapons, just as you are. You learn about Josephine Butler, the charismatic leader of the repeal campaign, lady who dares to speak the unspeakable in public, defending women like you. You learn statistics, legal arguments, tales of horrific injustice. You discover that the medical examinations are often brutal and deliberately humiliating. Sterilized speculum that can spread disease rather than prevent it. You learn that many of the doctors who perform them believe that women's bodies are inherently foul and that prostitutes are a subhuman species. Feed information to Mr. Howard. Anonymous stories you hear from the other girls. The story of a girl unjustly arrested and imprisoned. The story of a doctor who was cruel and sadistic. You become a spy in your own prison, of information from the hidden world of the brothel to the world of political resistance. It is a dangerous, exhilarating secret. You are no longer just Nell the whore. You are a whisper in a revolution. Your work with Rose continues. It is 2 steps forward, back, but slowly, painstakingly, you begin to see a flicker of the old Rose return. She starts to eat. Color returns to her cheeks. One day, you find her humming a tune from her childhood. It is a small victory, but it feels monumental. Begins to solidify. With Lottie's savings and your own, you have enough to get Rose out of London, to find her a quiet place to live, perhaps in a small coastal town where no one knows her, where she can breathe clean air and heal. But your activities have not gone unnoticed. Mrs. Blackwood is no fool. She sees the change in you, your secret meetings with Mr. Howard, excessive care for Rose. She sees a threat to her authority, to the smooth running of her business. And then there is Mr. Davies, choose to request you, and you are forced to comply. His games become more psychologically twisted. He never harms you physically, are a form of intricate mental torture. He will make you recount your day in minute detail, catching you in small, and then punishing you with long, terrifying silences. He is trying to break you, to own you completely. You realize he's not just a sadist, he is an addict, and his drug is absolute control over another human being. The new strength in you, the core of resistance, and it infuriates him. It becomes a battle of wills, fought in the silent, gaslit rooms of the brothel. One night, the confrontation you have been dreading finally comes. Mrs. Blackwood summons you to her office, is there, weeping in a corner. On the desk between you and the madam is a small pile of pamphlets, the ones Mr. Howard gave you. Mrs. Blackwood says, her voice dangerously calm, "They are just reading materials." You say, your heart pounding. She snarls, "I know what you are doing. You are filling the girls' heads with nonsense, plotting with outsiders. And you," she says, turning her venom on Rose, "you are a useless, expensive liability. This little project of yours for long enough. It ends tonight. Rose is out on the street, and you..." "No," you say, stepping in front of Rose. "You will not put her out, Al. She is a drug-addled whore who can no longer earn her keep." Mrs. Blackwood shouts, her composure finally cracking. "This is a business, not a home for broken things. If she goes, I go," you say, the words leaving your mouth before you can think. Mrs. Blackwood laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. "Go, where will you go, you fool? Back to your suing, back to starvation. Outside has a place for you now. You are mine, Nell. I made you from the gutter, and I can put you back there in a heartbeat." "You are wrong," you say, ringing with a conviction that surprises even you. "You didn't make me. You just showed me the truth of this world, and I will not let you do to her what was done to Lottie." At the mention of Lottie's name, a flicker of something, shame, crosses Mrs. Blackwood's face. You press your advantage. "I have money," you say, playing your final card. "Lottie's money. Enough to pay you for Rose's contract. Enough for us to leave this place." Mrs. Blackwood stares at you, her mind working the angles. Releasing 2 girls is a loss, but an open rebellion, a scandal, would be worse. And the money is a tangible gain. She asks, her voice all business again. You name a sum, figure so high it represents almost everything you and Lottie have saved. It is the price of freedom. She considers it, her lips pursed. "For fine, take her and go, but know this, if I ever see either of you in this part of London again, personally hand you over to the peelers myself. I will tell them you stole from me. You will end up in the Lock Hospital or in prison. Now, get out of my sight." It happens in a whirlwind. You pack your few belongings and Rosie's, the hidden box of money. You count out Mrs. Blackwood's price, the coins feeling like pieces of your soul. With the remainder, pitifully small amount, you and Rose are cast out into the night. You stand on the pavement, outside the handsome black door. Trembling beside you, clutching your arm. You are free, but you are also homeless, friendless, women in a city that despises you. The London night with its fog and its gaslight and its distant, rumbling threats. So vast or so terrifying. You have won the battle, but the war for survival has only just begun. Tastes like cold, damp fog. You stand on the curb, the opulent facade of Mrs. Blackwood's behind you. You are paralyzed. The house, for all its horrors, was a structure, a routine. The world outside is a chaotic void. Rose clings to your arm, her thin body shaking with a mixture of fear and the lingering tremors of her withdrawal. She is your responsibility, claimed soul. Where are we going, Nell? She whispers, her voice childlike. Somewhere safe. You say, with a confidence you do not feel, your first priority is shelter. You cannot go back to your father's garret, as a lady's companion would instantly shatter, and the shock would kill him faster than any disease. You need anonymity. Lead Rose away from the Haymarket, away from the West End with its theatres and fine houses, Rinthane streets of the city's poorer quarters. Here, in the sprawling, anonymous slums, you can disappear. After what feels like an eternity of walking, you find a lodging house in a grimy alley near Holborn. It is a step above the street. The landlady is a gin-sodden creature with a suspicious eye who takes your money without a word and shows you to a room. Windowless and smells of mold and despair. A single, lumpy mattress lies on the floor. Return to the squalor you once clawed your way out of, but this time it feels different. This poverty is the price of freedom. You bolt the door and collapse onto the mattress, pulling Rose down beside you. You hold her as she weeps. Her sobs are raw, sound in the darkness. You do not cry. Your tears have been burned away. You lie awake all night, listening to the sounds of the lodging house, a drunken argument below, the scuttling of rats in the walls. And you plan. Money you have left is a lifeline, but it will not last long. You need to find work, respectable work. But how? Mrs. Blackwood's threat hangs over you. Your time in the brothel has marked you, invisibly but indelibly. Ask for a reference. Your hands, once skilled with a needle, are now soft. Your eyes carry a knowledge that would frighten any respectable employer. You are caught in a terrible paradox. Survive in the respectable world, you must pretend to be someone you are no longer. Your only hope is to leave London. Is a trap. A place of memory and danger. You remember Rose's delirious whispers of the sea, and an idea takes root. A small coastal town, a place where the air is clean and the faces are new, a place to start again. The next few weeks are a desperate scramble for survival. You hoard every penny. You eat stale bread and thin soup, most menial of tasks. You scrub floors for the landlady. You mend clothes for pennies. Your fingers clumsy at first, but slowly remembering their old skill. You are Eleanor Vance again, but a harder, more pragmatic version. Seamstress, who knows the price of a man's soul and the weight of a gold sovereign. During this time, you risk a visit to Mr. Howard. You find him not at the brothel, but at a small, dusty bookshop that serves as a meeting place for the repeal movement. When he sees you, registers shock, then relief. You tell him a heavily edited version of your story. Friend have left the life and are trying to start anew. You do not tell him about the money or Mrs. Blackwood's threats. Concerned, He gives you the address of a Quaker charity, a group known for helping fallen women without judgment. But you are hesitant. You have seen what charity does. It often comes with strings, with moralizing, with the expectation of repentance. You have nothing to repent for, or you did what you had to do to survive. What Mr. Eve is more valuable than charity is information. He tells you of the growing movement, the public meetings, the petitions. He tells you that your stories, the ones you pass to him, have been used anonymously in pamphlets and speeches, part of the ammunition in the war against the acts. The knowledge is a strange, fierce comfort. Your suffering has not been meaningless. It has been transformed into a weapon. You are braver than you know. Nell, he says, the first time, you almost believe it. You focus on Rose. Away from the suffocating atmosphere of the brothel, she begins to heal. Sea air you talk about becomes her lodestar, her vision of heaven. You spend your evenings talking to her, shattered confidence, piece by piece. You are no longer just her protector, you are her friend, her sister. In saving her, saving yourself, you are proving that a bond between two women can be stronger than the world that tries to break them. Finally, a handful of shillings scraped together, enough for 2 one-way tickets on a third-class railway carriage. You choose a destination almost at random from a map, a small fishing town in Kent called Whitstable, for its oysters and its quiet working-class community. It seems a world away from the gaslit hell of London. Is grey and overcast. You send one last letter to your father, the most difficult one you have ever written. You tell him that your mistress is moving abroad and that you are going with her. You tell him you cannot say where for her privacy. You promise to write when you can. You enclose almost all of your remaining money. It is a final, desperate act of love and deception, letting your last tie to your old life, setting him adrift so that you can swim for shore. The guilt is a physical weight. No, you have no other choice. To see him again would be to destroy him. The train journey is a revelation. Out of the smog, choked maze of London, the landscape begins to change. Rows of blackened brick give way to green fields, to trees, to open sky. Rose presses her face to the window. Look, Nell, she breathes. The sky, it's so big. You watch the city recede until it is just a smear of smoke on the horizon. You feel a profound sense of release, as if a great weight has been lifted from your chest. Your Whitstable is everything London is not. The air is sharp and clean, salt and seaweed. The sounds are the cry of gulls and the gentle wash of waves on the shingle beach. The roar of traffic and the shouts of a crowd. The town is small, a collection of weather-boarded houses and narrow, winding streets. The people are fishermen and their families, their faces weathered by the sun and sea, their eyes direct and curious, but not hostile. Room to rent a small, clean attic in the house of a fisherman's widow. It is sparse. The window looks out over the grey expanse of the sea. For the first time in years, you feel you can breathe, that you are sisters orphans from London, seeking healthier air. The lie is simple, believable. Here, Slate, you are Nell and Rose. That is all anyone needs to know. You find work, not easily, but you find it. Seamstress again. You mend fishing nets, you patch sails, you sew clothes for the fishermen's wives. The work is hard, but it is honest. It is yours. Your hands grow rough and calloused again, and you welcome the feeling. Rose, hard labor, finds gentle work sorting oysters and mussels, her small hands nimble and quick. Life becomes a simple, quiet routine. You wake with the sun, you work, you walk on the beach in the evening, watching the tide go out, revealing the vast flats. You talk, You heal. The ghosts of London begin to fade by the salt-laced wind and the rhythmic sound of the sea. You are poor, but you are not desperate. You are scarred. You are not broken. One day, a package arrives for you at the small post office. It is from Mr. Howard. Inside is a book. It is a collection of essays and testimonials, the maiden tribute of modern Babylon, an explosive expose of child prostitution in London. The world is changing, Nell, slowly, because of people like you. He also includes a newspaper clipping, reports that following public outcry and the tireless work of reformers, the Contagious Diseases Acts have been suspended, yet been repealed, but their power is broken. You sit on the shingle beach, the newspaper shaking in your hand, the words again and again, suspended. You look out at the grey, endless sea. You think of Lottie dying in the attic. You think of the fear, the humiliation, the silent battles fought in gaslit rooms, and you feel a profound, quiet sense of victory no one but you and Rose will ever know about. A secret piece of history that you carry in your bones. You have survived, adapted, you have fought in your own quiet way, and you have won. Not the innocent Eleanor Vance who cried over a pricked finger in a cold garret, a terrified Nell who sold her body to pay the rent. You are someone else, someone forged in the crucible of London's underworld. You are a woman who has looked into the abyss and has climbed back out, not unscathed, but whole. You look at Rose, the water's edge, laughing as she skips a flat stone across the surface of the waves. Her laughter is real. The sound is carried to you on the wind, clean and bright. It is the most beautiful sound in the world. By the past anymore, you are informed by it. You know the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of the world, men, the fragility of a woman's life, but you also know the strength of friendship, the resilience of the human spirit, the quiet dignity of survival. You fold the newspaper clipping and put it in your pocket. It is a secret you will carry with you always, of the war you fought and the price you paid. The tide is coming in, washing the shore clean, and you feel a sense of peace settle over you, as vast and as deep as the ocean before you. The story is not over. A life lies ahead. But this chapter, the darkest chapter, is closed, and you have written your own ending. Years pass. In Whitstable becomes your own. The sharp scent of salt and the cry of gulls are the backdrop to your day's soothing presence that has washed away the last grimy traces of London's smog from your lungs and your memory. Nell and Rose, the mysterious sisters from the city, you are just Nell, the quiet, skilled seamstress, and Rose, the gentle girl who works with the oyster fleets. You are part of the town's fabric now, as unremarkable and as vital as the tide. Blossoms in the sea air, the fragile, haunted girl has been replaced by a strong, capable young woman. The sea has given her a strength the city tried to steal. She marries a young fisherman, a good, with eyes the colour of the summer sky. You stand beside her at the small parish church, your heart so full of a fierce feels as if it might burst. You see her laughing with her husband, her face full of a simple, unadulterated joy. Succeeded, you saved her, you brought her back from the dead. You do not marry. The men of the town are kind, respectful. Some of them try to court you, drawn to your quiet self-possession and the faint shadow of a sadness in your eyes that they mistake for romantic melancholy. You are polite, but you keep your distance. Explain to them that the idea of sharing your life, your body, with a man is something you can no longer conceive of. Intimacy is forever entwined with the memory of commerce, of performance, of fear. The fortress you built around yourself at Mrs. is no longer a prison, but it has become a part of you. It is your home. You are not lonely. You have Rose, her growing family, small circle of friends among the town's women. You have your work. You have the sea. It is enough. Small cottage of your own now, near the beach. It is filled with light and the sound of the waves. You have a sewing machine. Operated Singer, your most prized possession, bought with years of saved pennies. You are known for the quality of your work. Your stitches are as perfect as they were in that cold garret all those years ago, but now they are sewn with peace, not terror. You create not just patched sails and mended trousers, but wedding dresses for the village girls, christening gowns for their babies. You stitch the fabric of their lives, a quiet, respected artisan. You are Eleanor Vance again, but an Eleanor who has lived a dozen lifetimes. Never hear from your father again. After that last letter, there is only silence. You do not know if he received the money for a few more months or a few more years, or if he died believing his daughter was safe and respectable in a foreign land. Live with the not knowing. It is a dull, constant ache, a wound that will never fully heal. It is the price of his peace, survival. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, you sit by your window, looking out at the darkening sea, and you talk to him, telling him the truth you could never write. You tell him you are safe. You tell him you are, in your own way, happy. You hope, somewhere, the world outside of Whitstable changes. Queen Victoria dies and a new century dawns. Comes in the papers of conflicts in faraway lands, of new inventions, of political turmoil. It all feels very distant, concerns of another world. But sometimes a small article will catch your eye, a debate in Parliament about the rights of women, a story about a new hospital founded to care for the poor. You see the ripples of the changes you were a small, secret part of. Suffragettes, loud, defiant women chaining themselves to railings, demanding the vote. In their fierce eyes a reflection of the anger you once felt, now refined and directed into a political cause. You admire their courage, but their world of public struggle is not yours. Your war was fought in the shadows. One day, an elderly Rose, now a grandmother herself, brings you a copy of a London newspaper. There is a small obituary tucked away in the back pages. The notice is for a Mr. Gerald Davies, a wealthy industrialist and philanthropist who has died peacefully at his country estate, vast fortune to charity, and a reputation as a pillar of the community. You stare at the name, Mr. Davies, the man with the cold eyes and the scissors, a philanthropist, a pillar of the community. You read the glowing eulogy, generosity, his public service, his unimpeachable character. There is no mention of the silent girls in the gaslit rooms, of the pleasure he took in their fear, of the psychological scars he left behind. Has been completely erased by the power of his wealth and his reputation. Quieter than the lies they left behind, you feel a cold, familiar anger. But it is a distant anger now, memory of a storm long past. You fold the newspaper and put it in the fire. You watch the story of his respectable life turn to ash. You are the only person left in the world, perhaps, who knows the truth about him. The truth of what men do in the dark. They tell about themselves in the light. The secret does not feel like a burden anymore. It feels like a quiet, final victory. His name is Ash, but you are still here, breathing the salt air. You live to be an old woman, the color of sea foam. Your skin is a map of fine lines. You are a fixture in the town, a living piece of its history. The young children call you Auntie Nell. They bring you seashells and listen to your stories, not the true dark stories of your youth, of the sea, of old ships, of the way the town used to be. On your last day, you are in your cottage, favorite chair by the window. Rose's granddaughter is with you, reading to you. The window is open. Sound of the waves is a gentle, rhythmic breath. You close your eyes. The noise of the city, the smell of the coal smoke and the river, the feel of cheap satin and a man's unwanted touch. It is all gone. A story that happened to someone else, a girl in a book you once read. You feel a sense of peace, a quiet dissolving. Her hands guiding yours on a piece of cloth. You think of Lottie, her cynical smile and her secret grief. Her laughter skipping across the water. You think of the millions of women like you. The ones whose stories were never told, whose names are lost to history. The seamstresses, the maids, the factory girls, the whores. The silent army that built the great, grimy, glorious city on their backs, with their hands and with their bodies. You are just one of them, forgotten stitch in a vast, intricate tapestry. But your stitch held, your breath catches a soft sigh. Tide turning for the last time, you are back in the garret for just a fleeting second. The cold is there, the fear, the prick of the needle on your finger. You see the single, perfect pearl of blood welling up. But this time, you are not afraid. This tiny drop of life, of pain, of survival. And you smile. The needle feels strange in your hand, lighter than a memory, than a ghost. Then, there is only the sound of the sea washing everything clean.